Hi, I'm Brian Webb. I serve as the Area Director for Pacific Oceania with Assemblies of God World Missions, and I'd like to talk to you about how you can serve as a missionary in the Pacific. When it comes to natural beauty, few places in the world can compare with the Pacific. You've got jungle-clad mountains, majestic palm trees, brilliantly colored coral reefs set in the midst of turquoise seas. Having lived in the Pacific for 23 years, I'll admit I am spoiled to fresh seafood and tropical fruits. But still, I would say the best part of living in the Pacific is the people. The rich friendships are the most rewarding part of living and serving in the Pacific. And maybe you say, hey, I'm ready to go, but how would I actually serve? What would it look like in my life? And the truth is, it looks different in everyone's life, but I can give you some broad strokes. In the Pacific, we believe in teams, and we want teams of missionaries with 5 key components: evangelism and church planting, pastoral development, community development, children's ministries, and next generation ministries. So let's talk about pastoral development. What do I mean by pastoral development? The simplest answer is helping those that God has called to serve as pastors to be the most effective they can be for the kingdom. A pastor is called of God. Ephesians tells us that a pastor is Christ's gift to the church. In most churches, the pastor is the preacher and the teacher, the administrator, the visionary leader, and they encourage, correct, minister to, and equip the church for ministry. Odds are you've had a great pastor in your life. The pastor is there for the member in times of joy and times of sorrow. Often the pastor is the one who introduces people to Jesus Christ and then leads them in developing their relationship with Him. A good pastor identifies people with ministry potential and then pours into their life so that they can be effective in ministry. A lot of factors go into the success or failure of a local church. But I'm convinced that the greatest factor in the health of the local church is the capacity of the pastor. And for this reason, few things are more important than pastoral development. This idea of pastoral capacity leading to or diminishing from the potential growth of the church, it involves more than just the local church. Sometimes in missions, we use this term, the national church. And by that, we simply mean the network of churches in a particular nation. So the National Church of Fiji is the network of Assembly of God churches in the nation of Fiji. I don't know if you've ever thought about this or not, but a national church rarely outgrows its supply of pastors. To facilitate growth within a national church, you must continually equip more pastors. Studies show that when the ratio of members to pastors exceeds 80-1, growth stagnates. In fact, one of the first indicators that a national church is entering a period of decline is when the number of pastors begin to decline. So pastoral development is huge, both for the local church and for the national church. Strategically, it's one of the most important things we can do in missions. So what does pastoral development look like? We have several great missionaries in the Pacific who've given their lives to this ministry. For Megan and Tatupufiti and Gary and Lori Ellison, it's meant serving as principals and teachers at a particular Bible school. For Phil and Kim Rojak, it's been an itinerant ministry as they travel between the 5 regional Bible schools in Papua New Guinea. It could look like teaching first-generation Christians at a certificate-level Bible training center, or teaching BA-level courses at an accredited Bible school. You could be stationary, teaching in just one school, or traveling broadly, teaching block courses at a number of schools. You could run a global university office, providing correspondence training for ministers across the nation. So, who can serve in pastoral development? Before you can train a pastor, you need to be one. A 4-year Bible degree is a minimum. Practical experience in pastoral ministry is also necessary. So I'm looking for pastors to train pastors. Pastoral development is a critical need in the Pacific. I have Bible schools that are desperate for new teachers. I have multiple countries that have no pastoral development taking place at all. These churches are one generation away from disappearing. A couple of years ago, I had the privilege of standing beside Ron Killingback on the stage at the General Council in Vanuatu, celebrating 50 years of the Assemblies of God in Vanuatu. And Ron was the founding missionary of the Assemblies of God in Vanuatu, and he started Joy Bible Institute. It was amazing to watch as his former students gathered around him. These were the pastors who became the leaders of the Assemblies of God for a generation. Ron's investment in these men changed a nation. What could God do with your life? Pastors, I will be hosting a Zoom call next week to discuss pastoral development opportunities in the Pacific. Message me. Let me know if you'd like to be a part. I would love to talk with you about how you could serve as a missionary in the Pacific.